brothers about Surah 53, Surah Al-Najm. Ibn Ashaq and Ibn Kathir and other Muslim commentators all cite the fact that there was actually this compromise that Muhammad made with polytheism, with Lat, Manat, Uzza, which was referred to in the famous fictional book, the Satanic Verses. But isn't it true that all of the early Muslim historians and muftis, they all said that these were verses, this verse was in the Quran and has now been excised? Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I actually had a debate on this topic in London on whether Muhammad delivered the Satanic Verses. And I have 37 Muslim sources reporting that Muhammad delivered the Satanic Verses. When we go back to, when we trace the references back, we find that multiple people in the first century of Islam reported this story. And how we know that it happened is, it's called the principle of embarrassment in history. It's basically followers of some leader are not going to invent embarrassing material about their leader. If they're going to invent something, they're of course going to invent something positive. Miracle stories, for instance. So when we find virtually all of our ancient evidence, our earliest evidence, telling us that Muhammad delivered verses to his followers, that he bowed down in honor of these verses, that his followers bowed down with him, and that he came back later and said, those verses which I delivered to you, they didn't come from God. Satan tricked me. Satan tricked me into reciting that you could also pray to Alat, Alusa, and Manat, these three pagan goddesses. When Muhammad's followers report that he delivered these verses to them and that he took them back as references from Satan, we know this is not something that any Muslim would make up.
Well, doesn't this, of course, beg the question that if there is one part of the Quran that could have been supplied by Satan, what other parts of the Quran might be supplied by Satan? We know, of course, that Muhammad, when he first received the revelation, that he felt as if it was perhaps an evil spirit that was bothering him. And sometimes he would hear a bell ringing. And another hadith says that the bell is the noise of Satan.
The instrument of Satan.
Very interesting.
We also have references in Al-Bukhari, Islam's most trusted collection of ahadith. We have multiple references in Al-Bukhari saying that Muhammad was a victim of black magic, that if a Jewish magician got a hair from his hairbrush and was able to give Muhammad false beliefs and delusional thoughts for about a year. Now this is God's greatest prophet and messenger according to Islam. And according to Islam's most trusted collection of ahadith, this great man was a victim of black magic. And this is important because this is a spiritual attack. And a spiritual attack against God's greatest messenger, according to Muslim sources, could be successful. Now, just to give a personal experience, several years ago, a high priest of Wicca, this is witchcraft, a high priest of Wicca tried to cast a spell on me to keep me from challenging him. That man died within months. Now, did God kill him? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know this. The spell he tried to cast against me did not work. Why?
Praise God.
Because he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world.
Hallelujah.
And the point is, who am I? I'm just a Christian. It makes no sense to me to say that God would protect a Christian from protection, but not protect his greatest prophet from spiritual attack, if Islam is the truth.
Would you like to say more on this topic, Nabil?